Want dis ons land, dis ons taal, en sonder soek aan ons gaan stories waar we lewe in die duine hoog gebou uit sand, die helder see en die goue straat, die landskap wat oor generasies vertel, die harte wat in ritme met die golwe val, ons land, ons taal.
Welkom by vandag se aflewering van Kletskompas. Onthou ook in die koerante fokus insetsel oor logistiek. Julle 28 bladsye. Vandag gesels ons 'n bietjie oor kuns in Namibië met die direkteur van kuns, Mkariko Amagulu. Ons gaan so 'n bietjie terugkyk en ook die toekoms in. Dis die onderhoud vir vandag. Later natuurlik ook Agri Monitor se voorskou vir hulle program vanaand. Bly ingeskakel.
Met die golwe val, ons land, ons taal.
Christine Kuier gesels nuus. Welkom terug nog 'n keer. En dis baie gewilde natuurlike vakansieoord ook onder die Afrikaanse gemeenskap in Namibië en van elders soos Suid-Afrika. En ja, dis so 'n lang lys dorpspyne wat inwoners nou lys. Mens kan nie eers alles noem nou nie. Wat is hulle groot pyne?
Ja, dit is regtig 'n lang lys en is definitief 'n lys wat ons sien ook in 'n klomp ander dorpe in Namibië en dit kom maar neer op wanbestuur en geld wat na plekke gaan, toelaas wat betaal word vir goed wat nie sin maak nie, mense wat geskort word sonder dat hulle dissiplinêre verhore ondergaan. So ek dink dit is dieselfde kwessies wat ons sien in 'n klomp ander plaaslike owerhede. Ek weet daar is ook inwoners ontevrede op Gobabis en Okahanya. So ja, hierdie slag is die kollig op hierdie vakansiedorp.
En ja, nie net daar Gobabis ook in Okahanya nie. Ek dink mense kan meeste dorpe amper in Namibië Dinsdag byvoeg tot die lys. Hulle het 'n klagskrif ingedien aan die minister, maar hulle klaar reeds sedert 2023. So dit lyk of die ander probleem is dat mense oral waar dit die geval is ook nie eintlik vinnig genoeg antwoorde kry.
Ja, en ons het dit ook, ek dink so 2 weke terug gesien hier in die hoofstad, waar daar ook 'n klagskrif aan die teenkorrupsiekommissie oorhandig is en gevra om asseblief te kyk na plaaslike owerhede. So hierdie dorp wat nou net daarby kom en hopelik die teenkorrupsiekommissie het destyds al gesê hulle kyk na hierdie goed en hulle wil seker maak dat alles eers in plek is voordat hulle optree. So hulle het beloof om op te tree en ons hoop dat hulle ook dan nou hier ophenties vinnig stappe sal neem om net die inwoners bietjie gerus te stel dat iets wel gedoen word.
Ook die geval soos elders van mense wat lank geskort is, die kostes wat daarmee verband hou, voortrekkery met erwe wat teen afslag glo weggegee is vir politici en wanbestuur soos jy gesê het, geldsake en korrupsie. Gaan alles nie maar eintlik terug, al daai probleme, na die feit dat daar blykbaar nie 'n ferme hand met die bestuur van die dorpsake is.
Ja, ek dink dit is een van die grootste kwessies, maar om weer nog 'n tipe liggaam te skep, om seker te maak dat ander mense hulle werk doen, voel vir my onnodig of oorbodig dalk. Hierdie mense is in hulle posisies en hulle word vertrou om die beste te doen en 'n diens te lewer vir die inwoners, maar ons sien dit so dikwels dat hulle net ten gunste van hulle self optree en dis natuurlik alles net beweringe, maar mens sou hoop dat hierdie mense in hierdie posisies is en besef dat hulle vir die mense eintlik maar werk.
'n Ander kwessie is, word daar ooit regtig opgetree? Is daar gevolge vir oortredings en wanbestuur? Nou, hierdie is 'n Turksvy, maar ek dink daar word sedert gister wyd daaroor gepraat. So, ons moet dit mos nou maar ook noem. Die verbod wat ingestel is, onbepaald nou voorlopig, op sportbyeenkomste, ander funksies word ook ingesluit daarbey. Wat is jou persoonlike mening? Dit is ook gedoen tydens wyle president Hage Geingob se afsterwe.
Ja, ek dink meeste van ons het dit verwag. Ek in my persoonlike opinie wens ek net die regering het vir dit 'n tydperk uitgesit, sodat mense weet, ons kan uitstel en dit sal vanaf hierdie datum sal goed weer terugkeer na normaal. Ek dink dit is die enigste ding wat mense nou frustreer is, wel daar word geld bestee aan hierdie goed, nie net in sport nie, maar ook hierdie ander geleenthede, klomp Valentyns geleenthede wat 10-1 sou plaasvind hierdie naweek en nou is dit vir 'n onbepaalde tyd uitgestel en ek dink dis maar waar die frustrasies lê. Ek dink as hulle net gesê het dis vir die volgende 2 weke en dis dit, dan dink ek sou dit makliker gewees het. Ek dink wat hulle wel verhoed om dit te doen is die feit dat daar nog nie 'n datum vir die begrafnis geskeduleer is nie. Ek dink wanneer daar die reëlings in plek is, sal ons baie meer duidelikheid hê oor wanneer hierdie verbod gelig sal word.
Wat ons van agter die skerms hoor is dat die begrafnis eers heel wat later gaan plaasvind. Lees aanlyn by Republikein die hele berig spesifiek oor sport en die verskillende menings wat mense daaroor het. Sê ja, ons moet respek betoon, maar hulle was groot manne wat sport ondersteun het. Wyle president Hage Geingob asook sy ouma.
En mens sien dit reg oor die wêreld is daar maniere om sport op die regte manier te doen. Baie rugby spelers wat byvoorbeeld met 'n swart band speel en 'n oomblik van stilte voor 'n wedstryd. Ek dink dit kan ook mooi wees om mense bymekaar te bring in hierdie tyd en dit op die regte wyse ook aan te pak. So ek dink daar was dalk 'n ruimte vir goed om dalk nog steeds voort te gaan, maar ja, ons doen natuurlik wat ons regering goed dink in hierdie tyd.
Dankie Christine, altyd baie meer aanlyn.
African Child Development Trust presents the annual ACE, an exclusive fundraising golf day in support of the ACDT Education Project. Join us on 21st February at the Windhoek Golf Club for this prestigious event. Register your team now on eticket.onmy.na for only $5,000 per team. Your registration includes a branded golf shirt and cap, a golf cart for the day, welcome breakfast and post-play snacks, 9 on-course activations, and amazing prizes for the top 5 teams. Don't miss out. Register your team today and put for progress at the annual ACE. Together, let's drive change and support education with every swing.
Kom ons loer na daardie minimum en maksimum temperature vir vandag en dan natuurlik môre oor die middag op 12 Februarie. Katima Mulilo 20 grade vandag, 'n maksimum van 21. Is bietjie koeler daar as op Enhana met 26 grade. Ook Oshakati, daar gaan die kook draai by 28 grade Celsius. Tsumeb 20, maksimum 26, Otjiwarongo 19 en 29. Op Omaruru 21, maksimum van 33, is die warmste op hierdie lysie. In die hoofstad Windhoek 20 grade en 31 die maksimum. Aan die kus van Namibië, Swakopmund 18 en 19 grade, Walvis Bay ook 18 vandag, maksimum daar van 22 grade. Mariental 26 en 36, gaan 'n graad warmer wees op Keetmanshoop, waar in die Karastreek 37 grade, Aranos 35 en dan ook aan die kus, Loedrits 15 grade vandag, Oranjemoen 16 en daar die warmste oor die middag môre, na verwagting 26 en 23 grade.
Maandae is nou Turksvy kontry. Op die plaas Namsep is die soeispit seremonie gehou van hierdie Turksvy plaas, waarvoor die blare vir veevoer gebruik gaan word, die vrugte vir menslike gebruik en werk gaan geskep word in die eerste fase vir so wat 75 mense. Die reuse projek behels egter die opwekking van bio-energie en dit beveg ook klimaatsverandering.
Yeah, just shove it.
So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing the ground, plant the seedling for the next phase of the project.
Okay, I think we're good. And now we're gonna.
Okay, I'm go.
Direkteur. Hier lê kap kan mag. Wie groei. Dit die kemasie lagi. As 'n projek wat kaas kinesa. Koron squat hektar kaas kinesa. Ek kom nou onder aan wat nou was sien. Sinin area ja Asia. Kamu sasmire.
Nou hier's 'n spesiale Valentynsbederfie vir jou en jou liefie. Koop tussen die 3de en 13 Februarie 2 kaartjies vir Spoegwolf se konsert wat op Saterdag 5 April in Windhoek gehou word en staan die kans om vir julle tweeetjies retourkaartjies na enige Fly in Namibië bestemming te wen. Klik eenvoudig op eticket.my.na, koop die kaartjies en laat klop jou beminde se hart teen 'n Spoegwolf tempo.
Namibië se direkteur vir kuns, Mkariko Amagulu, kuier weer 'n slag by ons. Dit is eintlik 'n opvolg wat ons het. Ons wil bietjie kyk na die hartklop van die kunste in die land. Welkom.
Thank you.
Now, to start off with, because this was quite an important event last year, the Namibian Arts Fund is very important. Just tell us first, what does this fund do? What was envisaged originally with the act?
Okay. The National Arts Fund Act was created to support the development of the arts industries in Namibia. So meaning giving support to artists, not only to carry out projects, but also to pursue careers within the arts. This was already done by my four starters, you know, the Rita Louise Hofmeyers, who actually were part and parcel of the creation of that act. So basically it was a way to provide some support to the arts, particularly because it's one of the sectors that are least funded or supported. And that was, and I think that was the vision that they had for this fund. And particularly because also the creative industries are seen as the future, isn't it? So the idea is that we need to find a way to support their growth, and that's why this fund was created.
The National Art Council of Namibia, they've got a Facebook page, but people can actually go and look there and see which artists are being supported in terms of funding. But the whole act was reviewed actually, especially as far as the funds go last year. What was some of the important input that was received?
Okay, so this was a very interesting process because, to review acts in Namibia is that you need to do consultative meetings with all stakeholders, number one. But another lacking that the Act had was that they didn't have regulations. Previously, Acts would be passed without regulations, so one of the biggest aspect was for us to create regulations, and this was supported through the UNESCO Ashberg program. But the key areas, I think, in terms of the revision is that currently the arts council acts as an agency, meaning the staff members come from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, and it is kind of semi-autonomous, meaning that in a way it's kind of connected still to the government. And I think it was one of the areas that we had to look at. How do we make it more autonomous, number one? How do we make it more accessible? Because they only have an office in Windhoek, and it's under the Directorate of Arts pretty much. And how do we structure it in such a way that it really benefits the larger nation, and not only those that have access to this fund, or to this fund. So critical areas, if you look at other arts councils in the region, whether South Africa, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, they are all autonomous institutions, all created really to develop those creative industries in those countries. So the idea is that we want to bring it on par with other arts councils and strengthen it so that we can really attract the appropriate skill sets to be able to manage such a fund, to really be able also to be enabled to monitor and evaluate the work that we do in the Arts Council, so that we can also then be able to find the critical gaps and see how we can fill that to really make an impact in our society. Because the Arts Council has been functioning since 2007. But sometimes you still get those people who don't know that it exists. So how do we make it more accessible to the Namibian person, and not just in Windhoek and not just in the Khomas region? Yeah.
Regarding the input, do you think it was wide enough, the input that you received, and is the consultations now completed, or are you still receiving input on the regulations and the fund?
Yeah, so now it's completed. We went to all the regions, and it happened towards the end of the last year. So over the August, September, I think it's around August, September, the team that was consisted basically of the Secretariat of the Arts Council went to all the regions and actually had engagements with interested parties for input, advice. Sometimes the advice is a little bit, ambitious, but we had some really great input coming in from the regions, because there were also issues around looking at funding mechanisms. How do we grow the fund? How do we create opportunities for the fund to be able to collect some sort of income, just to kind of ensure that there is a sustainability in terms of how it operates and for the work that it does as well. And how do we link it also to other areas that are not right now considered to be part of the Arts Fund, which is like the film, for instance. Film is under the MICT. It has its own act that establishes the Namibia Film Commission. How do we strengthen a council that will be able to take care of some of all these items, not necessarily bringing them together, but how do we create closer links with entities like that to really for us to really make a difference in this sector. Yeah.
Is there a clear difference between the needs in rural areas and then in the towns and in Windhoek?
Windhoek is the arts capital. It's like the arts capital of Namibia. So everybody, I think, who wants to be an artist thinks they need to come to Windhoek. And if there is a second town that you'd consider to be a little bit more artistic as well, would be probably Swakopmund. But the rest of the nation, I think, has not been hasn't probably been socialized to appreciate the arts, and I'm talking now the rural areas, and also because arts was taken out of the schools for quite a while. It's back now, but now there's the challenge of getting the qualified arts teachers for that subject. So a lot of people grew up, I think, and got out of the school system without really appreciating or getting to be part of the arts and understand what the arts is about. And I think those are the challenges that have been created as well, where there's a misunderstanding of what an artist is and what the career opportunities that exist in the arts are, because most people think it's just somebody either painting or somebody playing a guitar, but they don't realize that there are a lot of careers that basically come out of the arts, you know, whether you're looking at graphic design, when you're looking at animation, whether you're looking at, even in the media, for instance, a lot of digital arts, nobody seems to connect those dots. It's almost, and there's a taboo around the arts. So I think in the rural areas, one thing that we have picked up is that we don't have a proper foundation that we are setting to really grow these industries. And I think you can't grow in industries if you're not building that from the ground. So for the first time, we have our own thematic area in the NDP6, the National Development Plan, and it's the cultural and creative industries. And then we have our own focal area as well, which is the arts and creative industries, and then another focal area, which is the culture and heritage aspect. But in the arts and creative industries, we are looking at how do we strengthen the arts education element in the schools? How do we get the arts closer to the people? So we are thinking about possibly putting up creative hubs. As you know, most of our arts institutions, government arts institutions, are in Windhoek, National Theatre, the College of the Arts, the National Art Gallery of Namibia. So how do we create these hubs so they are able to provide that support and or give these services in the regions? So maybe just starting with a few, maybe starting with 4 creative hubs in different parts of the country, so that you can just bring it closer to those that are more creatively talented, and so they can have an opportunity to really then develop their skills. Yeah.
And it'll help, obviously, to create the mind shift that's required as well, because that's a very difficult thing. You mentioned funding and money, and a lot of people think, you know, like sport, arts and culture is getting way too much investment from government.
Well,
how do you try? How do you go about try to change that mindset?
I think it's getting to get our political bearers, number one, because that's where the lobbying needs to happen, to understand what the opportunities in the creative industries are. And I think the best thing that's been happening over the couple of years now is that creative industries has become a buzzword. And even in Namibia now, Ministry of Trade is approaching us in terms of creative industry services that they need to include as part of their trade sectors. Same thing with the NIPDB, for instance. They are also having an area where they are looking at the creative industries to see how they can support that development. So with the government as well, we are also looking at creating a program that looks more at the entrepreneurial side of the creative industries. So you can see that there is this momentum where people are starting to see the opportunities, because I think the beauty of the creative industries is that it's based on our talents and our skills, and not necessarily something that you take out of the ground. It's something that stays with you all the time. So if you don't run out of it. I mean, unless you die or you lose your mechanisms or whatever. So meaning that the creative industry is probably the one the one sector or industries, or the industries that have the opportunity to make people more self-reliant, self-employed, and the opportunities abound when we look at the internet, because there's a lot of content creation that's happening around the world. How do we open up the pay systems, the global pay systems, so that our people can work remotely in Namibia in the creative industries, to be able to generate an income from America or wherever else. There's a lot of work in the animation, drawing, and all these type of things that you can do from here. Graphic design also, working for big companies outside. And I think the biggest challenge for Namibia has been that we don't have proper support systems in terms of payment systems to allow people to be able to sit in their home creating this content or working for these international firms, and that is probably one of the key areas that we need to look at. And you can have a lot of young people gainfully employed using their skills and their talents. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's always great to hear positive news.
Can I add something else? Yeah.
Obviously, if you want to.
Yeah, so maybe just before, before we finish off, I think we're also very excited about 2025 because we are starting. We're going to be implementing our UNESCO Culture 2030 indicators, which is going to kind of give us a baseline in terms of what we've been doing in the cultural and creative industries, or the industries, for the past couple of years. So we are starting with that already. We'll probably be launching later on in this month. And then another one is that we are also going to be doing a cultural and creative industry strategy that I'm really excited about, so that it will just kind of help us with a roadmap, which is basically linked then to the objectives that have been set in the NDP 6. And then I think I spoke about the entrepreneurship, the creative hubs and stuff. So there is a lot of things. However, we are a very small team, so sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming. But we do have quite a bit of support from the National Theatre, the College of the Arts, as well as the National Art Gallery of Namibia. And it's really just about reaching out. Oh, and then in the regions, by the way, sorry, just before, because I know I can talk a little bit too much. We have 39 arts extension officers. We have arts officers in the regions across the country who carry out arts services and activities under the Ministry of Education arts offices. And they do great work. They work with schools, they work with communities, and they try and keep the communities engaged. Yeah.
Great news. Kom ons ondersteun almal die kunste in ons land. Dit was Mkariko Amagulu, direkteur van kuns.
Nou hier's 'n spesiale Valentynsbederfie vir jou en jou liefie. Koop tussen die 3de en 13 Februarie 2 kaartjies vir Spoegwolf se konsert wat op Saterdag 5 April in Windhoek gehou word, en staan die kans om vir julle tweeetjies retourkaartjies na enige Fly in Namibië bestemming te wen. Klik eenvoudig op eticket.my.na, koop die kaartjies en laat klop jou beminde se hart teen 'n Spoegwolf tempo.
Kom kuier môre om 12:30 weer saam met ons, en natuurlik 8:00 in die aand 'n vars nuus insetsel. Lekker dag verder.